I'm going to do a talk now on the lie which Einstein's relativity is built upon. I'm going to refer to a Neil deGrasse Tyson lecture, and I'm going to refer to a banned lecture by Sheldrake. So this is a lecture video by Neil deGrasse Tyson. It says America's most noted astrophysicist, and describes the twins paradox, a hypothetical scenario in which high-speed travel slows down the aging of one twin. So we go to the lecture.
One of the towering great achievements of the human mind and our understanding of the universe is Einstein's theories of relativity. It's actually, the tenets of it are quite simple, almost scary simple. It makes only two assumptions: that the speed of light in a vacuum is constant no matter who is doing the measurement and no matter what direction you are moving or how fast. You'll always get the same measurement for the speed of light. That's assumption one, which, by the way, experiment has shown to be true. Assumption two, that the laws of physics as you measure them are the same for every observer who would be doing the measuring, provided you are on a vessel that's either moving at a constant speed or not moving at all. Those are the only two tenets that you have to buy into. And all experiments have shown that both of those two tenets are correct. Given those two tenets, extraordinary, spooky phenomenon derive from them. For example, as you travel faster, or if you find yourself in the vicinity of a higher source of gravity, time ticks more slowly for you than it does for other people who are not. It's not just your clock, it's everything about you and your environment slows down.
Okay. That is a typical sort of introduction to Einstein's relativity. So now I want to go to the banned lecture. Have I hidden it? Right, this are my videos. And the bit here is I've got a segment of Sheldrake's banned talk.
Because these are, again, used to assume big questions. Things like the gravitational constant, the speed of light, are thought of fundamental constants. Are they really constant? Well, when I got interested in this question, I tried to find out. They're given in physics handbooks. Handbooks of physics list the existing fundamental constants, tell you their values. But I wanted to see if they've changed, so I got the old volumes of physical handbooks. I went to the Patent Office Library here in London.
Put the sound up.
They're the only place I could find that kept the old volumes. Normally people throw them away when the new values come out. They throw away the old ones. When I did this, I found that the speed of light dropped between 1928 and 1945 by about 20 kilometers per second. It's a huge drop because they're given with errors of any fractions of decimal points of error. And yet, all over the world, it dropped. And they were all getting values very similar to each other with tiny errors. Then in 1945, it went up at 48, it went up again. And then people started getting very similar values again. I was very intrigued by this, and I couldn't make sense of it. So I went to see the head of metrology at the National Physical Laboratory in Teddington. Metrology is the science in which people measure constants. And I asked him about this. I said, what do you make of this drop in the speed of light between 1928 and 1945? And he said, oh dear, he said, you've uncovered the most embarrassing episode in the history of our science. So I said, well, could the speed of light have actually dropped? And that would have amazing implications if so. He said, no, no, of course it couldn't have actually dropped. It's a constant. So, well then how do you explain the fact everyone was finding it going much slower during that period? Is it because they were fudging their results to get what they thought other people should be getting, and the whole thing was just produced in the minds of physicists? We don't like to use the word fudge. I said, well, what do you prefer? He said, well, we prefer to call it intellectual phase locking. So I said, well, if it was going on then, how can we be so sure it's not going on today? And the present values are produced by intellectual phase locking. And he said, oh, we know that's not the case. And I said, how do we know? He said, well, we've solved the problem. I said, well, how? He said, well, we fixed the speed of light by definition in 1972. So I said, but it might still change. He said, yes, but we'd never know it because we defined the meter in terms of the speed of light. So the units had changed with it. So he looked very pleased about that. They'd fixed their problem. But I said, well, then what about big G, the gravitational constant known in the trade as P?
Okay, pausing it there. He says a lot of other interesting things, but the main point I'm going to is it was revealed to him they were not able to measure the speed of light as constant, and to overcome that problem they defined the speed of light as constant. So I go into some of this in more details in my lecture here called Revisions to Relativity, and I also do other lectures where I say that the unified field theory is really Boscovich's theory. So picking up again where we are. Covered those two bits. So really there is two types of theories. Theory 1 is the speed of light is discovered constant from experiment, and theory 2 is the speed of light is defined as constant. Now in the Sheldrake lecture we've been revealed to us that the speed of light has not been discovered constant from experiment. And essentially these are two different theories, and the difference between the two theories can be very subtle and require a lot of explanation. So let's go back to what Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying. Go back again a bit. If we play it again. This is the basis of special relativity.
No matter who is doing the measurement, and no matter what direction you are moving, or how fast, you'll always get the same measurement for the speed of light. That's assumption 1, which, by the way, experiment has shown to be true.
He says the experiment has shown it to be true. He has just lied to us. As revealed in the band lecture, the speed of light has not been revealed as constant from experiment, and he has lied.
Assumption 2, that the laws of physics as you measure them are the same for every observer who would be doing the measuring, provided you are on a vessel that's either moving at a constant speed or not moving at all. Those are the only two tenets that you have to buy into. And all experiments have shown that both of those two tenets are correct.
We've said again that all experiments have shown these tenets to be correct, and he's just lied again. If we refer to the bad lecture, they were not able to find from experiment that the speed of light is constant, so he's just lied a second time.
Given those two tenets, extraordinary, spooky phenomenon derived from them.
That is correct. If those two tenets were correct, then very bizarre consequences would arise from those tenets. But those tenets are false. Well, particularly the first one. The first one being the speed of light is constant. That has not been found by experiment. So he now goes on to the consequences which are themselves false. The whole thing is false. Special relativity is false. He's lied about it being based upon experiment, and since that is a lie, everything else is then itself a lie. And I think one of the problems is with people, it's the magnitude of the lie. He's the first lie that it's based on experiment, and now he's just going to lie about everything else, and the magnitude of that lie is too big, and most people cannot comprehend an ability to understand the magnitude of a lie being so big as that. So we go back to my notes for the lecture. As revealed by the banned lecture, there are two theories. The first theory is that the speed of light has discovered constant from experiment. The second theory is the speed of light is defined as constant. So the lie that Neil is telling us is he's telling us the speed of light is discovered constant from experiment. If you believe the lie, you are believing theory one. If you believe theory one, you have been deceived, and many people have been deceived to believe theory one. Right. Physics is now split into specialities. There is things like theoretical physics, experimental physics, history of physics, education of physics, etc. In the capacity of the Neil deGrasse Tyson lecture, he is dealing with the education of physics. And you have just been lied to by the education department of physics. Neil deGrasse Tyson is just an example of one of those educators lying to you from that department. Next, the educators, want to justify the lie. I have argued with several of these educators, and I note it's not Neil, and they try to justify telling the lie to the students. In the case of Neil, I don't know whether he believes the lie or not. He lied to us, and I don't know whether he believes the lie. But there are people who do the educational physics, and they know what Neil just said was a lie. So for those who recognise that they told a lie to the students, the reason they give for the lie is it makes teaching relativity students easier. If they went into full complexities around relativity, then it just starts getting more complicated and the students get confused. I.e., the physics education system is dumbed down to make it easier for students. So that's the justification they give for the type of lie that Neil gave. If you go through the standard education system, you get deceived into believing theory 1. Theory 1 is the speed of light has been discovered constant from experiment. And that is a lie. They find it easier to teach the students a lie that the theory they are teaching is confirmed from experiment, and that's opposed to telling the truth. And the truth is there is no experimental justification for the theory. I.e., students would start protesting about why they should be taught a theory that has no evidence for it. So to overcome that difficulty, the educators lie to students, deceive them into thinking that there is experimental evidence for theory, and hence leading them to believe theory 1, when really they should be going into the complications of theory 2. That's basically it. Students are lied to, and if you believe the educators, you realise they're lying. They try to justify it by what is really just another basic lie, and they're trying to dumb things down to the students. So let's go back to the beginning. Here he starts it.
In a vacuum is constant no matter who is doing the measurement and no matter what direction you are moving or how fast. You'll always get the same measurement for the speed of light. That's assumption 1, which, by the way, experiment has shown to be true.
He's just lied. He says it's been confirmed by experiment. If you believe the lie, you are then believing theory 1. When it should not be that theory, it should be theory 2.
Assumption 2, that the laws of physics as you measure them are the same for every observer who would be doing the measuring, provided you are on a vessel that's either moving at a constant speed or not moving at all. Those are the only two tenets that you have to buy into. And all experiments have shown that...
Note the words buy into. So basically you have to buy into the lies. Buy into the lie that it's confirmed by experiment, then you are buying into theory 1.
Both of those two tenets are correct. Given those two tenets, extraordinary, spooky phenomenon derive from them.
Exactly, spooky phenomenon derive from that. And he's trying to sell you theory 1. It is not theory 1, it is theory 2. And to address the issues of why it is theory 2 makes it more complicated. So that's why he does it. The whole basis of this is a deception. And the deception, as they try to justify it, is it makes teaching it easier. It's dumbed down. There are two theories. And they're trying to tell you the lie of theory 1. And really the theory is theory 2. It's defined constant. To actually go into the details of that, of theory 2, is far more complicated. Hence why they are trying to avoid that. If we now, I look at some interesting things here. Right. if we can read this, Pencho Valley collects quite some interesting quotes from people, various people. First one, we have people at this site celebrating Einstein, talking about the beauty and significance of Einstein's theory of general relativity to the public. If we quickly look at that site, here you go. They're saying how wonderful Einstein is at that site. Now, next site, New Scientist, and they're celebrating Einstein's theory. Let's have a quick look at it. In 2015, there's going to be a big celebration of Einstein's relativity. And once again, saying how wonderful Einstein is. Right. Now, Pencho points out that not everybody is thinking Einstein is wonderful. And we have a person here, theoretician, Steve Gilding, as he quotes him, space-time physics is always regarded as playing out on an underlying stage of space and time. Special relativity join these into space-time. The apparent need to retire classical space-time as a fundamental concept is profound. Go to that site. Quoting from Steve Giddings, a theoretical physicist, and he's not so impressed with what Einstein's relativity is talking about, and basically it is messed up. If people are believing theory 1, then what they believe about space-time is messed up as well. He quotes another one. Let's go to this site. Nimar Arkani giving a public lecture, and how long has he got? He's got about an hour and a half talk, and lots of waffle. So this person is saying almost all of us believe that space-time doesn't really exist. Space-time is doomed and has to be replaced by some more primitive building blocks. And the reason why you're coming out with all that sort of thing is, once again, it's because of the deception of theory 1 being fostered onto people by the educators of relativity. They are deceiving people. If we go down to this one, he's got another quote. John Norton, a philosopher based at the University of Pittsburgh. Norton's hesitant to express it, but his instinct and the consensus in physics seems to be that space and time exist on their own. The trouble with this idea, though, is it doesn't sit well with relativity, which describes space-time as a malleable fabric whose geometry can be changed by the gravity of stars, planets and matter. Once again, it is the nonsense of theory 1 being fostered upon people, which is causing people to come up with these strange things. Right. We'll now quickly look at that site. What makes the universe tick? There. And go to that one. This is a theoretical physicist, Time Reborn by Lee Smolin. Farewell to Reality by Jim Bagot. And that's a review. And go back to that. The quote from there is, by making the clocks tick relative, which What happens simultaneously for one observer might seem sequential to another. Einstein's theory of special relativity not only destroyed any notion of absolute time, but made time equivalent to a dimension space. The future is already out there waiting for us, and we just can't see it until we get there. This view is a logical and metaphysical dead end, says Spolin, and all that metaphysical and logical dead end is once again coming from that lie about theory 1. And also he has, quoting Spolin again, was Einstein wrong? At least in his understanding of time. Spolin argues that Einstein was wrong. The great theorist of relativity was dead wrong. What is worse, by firmly enshrining his error in scientific orthodoxy, Einstein trapped his successors in insoluble dilemmas. Once again, it's because of this nonsense of teaching people to believe theory 1, that is a lie, that theory is a lie. It's once again teaching people to believe that lie. It's making all that mess with the understanding of time. The theory that should be taught is that the speed of light has been defined constant, and that is a much more complicated theory to explain to people, and it has many subtleties which need to be gone into a lot more explanation. And of course the education department does not want to go into that. They prefer to dumb things down. The education system is dumbed down to make it easier for students, and the consequence of that is to get the students to believe a lie. So that is it for this lecture. There's plenty more to point out. You can go to many other lectures on relativity, or once again buying into the lie which has been revealed by the banned lecture. Show more. They like to say things like this: one of the great achievements of the human mind and our understanding of the universe is Einstein's theory of relativity. It has two simple tenets, and basically they've told us a lie. The education system is lying to us. End of lecture. Thank you. There will be more lectures coming up where I point out more things. Thank you.